Happy Independence Day, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am Obiajulo Olabisi Ugbo, and with me are the ladies. Excellent morning, Nima.
Good morning.
How you guys doing?
Well, good.
We're thanking God.
What's up?
So yesterday, I went for the 13th annual Idra lecture organized by the Lagos State House of Assembly. And in my usual disguise, I disguised to the lecture because I didn't want to be distracted by other things and focus on what the content was. And the two speakers, first of the Sheikh Muhyiddin Ajani Bello, if anybody is a Muslim in Southwestern, you know, in fact, in Nigeria, you know this Sheikh, we're used to him calling out government, and so he did not disappoint. But the second speaker stood out for me, a young doctor, surgeon, and he's the Imam, the LSSCM, is a consultant surgeon, and he gave a speech. He's from a family of Muslim scholars, so he's representing that side, but he's professionally a medical practitioner. And in his speech, because the title of the theme yesterday was the role of youth in emerging socioeconomic and political realities, I liked that someone of our age bracket can tell us certain things that we've made normal and how they seem abnormal and be able to buttress them with Islamic points. And I hope everybody there learned the way I was learning.
Yeah,
probably.
Yes, I just hope, because there were many youth there and young women. On the side I sat, I looked around me, young women. I just was praying that we were listening so that something is pricking our consciousness, so that when we get back home, the things that we have normalized, that we know are distracting from the most important things, because the youth today are not questioning the things. They don't find it necessary. Everybody just grants and laments, it's not working, everything is not working, you know.
Okay.
So, well, thank
God. With you as well.
Let me quickly shout out to the Honorable,
Miriam,
the Chairman Planning Committee who sent me this invite, Honorable Moshood Olarewaju Oshun. Thank you, sir. I just did not wait to say thank you till the end of the event because I wanted to escape a crowd.
Yeah. Okay. How you doing, Miriam?
I'm fine. I'm great. Later on today, I will be part of a panel that will be discussing embracing data innovation to foster nation building. It's a youth initiative. It's being hosted and organized by my brother's firm, my younger brother's firm.
Congratulations!
And so I'm there, like, you know, he's hosting it. Yesterday, I was listening to him as he was just talking to all of us that will be there. He was so articulate, so intelligent, so smart, so, you know, he was leading. I was like, is this not Kamal? A is for Akul. That is now doing all this.
Yes, so
he has grown. His English is impeccable. I'm like, whoa, okay, bro. I hope I do justice to this, you know, and make you proud. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it later today.
I remember when we came to the Nigerian Conservation Center, I met him and we talked. So I was asking him what his company was about. So he told me, and I'm like, I'm preparing a course, and I would need, you know, somebody from his team to do the work. So we, you know, the guy knows what he's doing.
He knows his stuff. I can't believe it.
I'm really, really happy.
Come on, we say A is for alcohol. I can imagine.
I beg, let that one go. You better leave that past because you keep referring to it.
Proud of him.
Yes, so.
Proud of him. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll take the newspaper reviews. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's start with the nation. High number of surrendering insurgents worrisome. VAT. Court of Appeal gives nod to Lagos. State joins rivers in suit. Abiodun Okowa sign anti-open grazing bill. Nigeria needs new constitution before 2023. PDP panel zones national chairman to North. Burial for mob lynched cop today. Policeman killed in Anambra. High-profile persons behind Igboho, Kano, says Buhari. Police bust kidnappers' den in Ikorodu. Governors bemoan Akunyili's killing. What do we have in the nation?
Okay, in the nation I have, it says another set of 2,783 terrorists and their families have surrendered to Nigerian troops following what they say is a renewed offensive in the northeast and the northwest. But this is being said by the defense headquarters. They gave us some numbers. They said about 394, that's in this renewed offensive within 1 month, 3 weeks period. 394 bandits have been killed, and so also 85 Boko Haram members. About 43 collaborators of these terrorists have also been arrested in the last 3 weeks. All in all, they said about 103 have been arrested. A large cache of arms and ammunition have been recovered. So it shows that, the military would say that they are confident in what they are doing in those areas and that their work is yielding fruit, because we can see all these arrests and all these people surrendering. Yes.
Okay, so let me take the story of Nigeria needing a new constitution. So according to the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, they are calling for another constitution before the general elections in 2023. According to them, in their independence message, they said another election cannot be conducted under a flawed constitution, and that the majority of Nigerians, those who are clamoring to, succeed and self-determination should be allowed a fair chance, should be allowed hearing. And they are also calling on the United Nations to do something about giving those of them who are calling for self-determination a referendum, because if nothing is done, at the end of the day, we'll have a lot of political upheavals in the country that these people are already feeling choked by that national constitution. But I am also worried because, we kept talking about restructuring. Now, it seems like nobody's going to that. Everybody's focusing on 2023 gradually. We may end up not even having that.
Let me quickly link that to the major headlines. So the president in his speech this morning referred to those calling for secessionists, and most of them, two of them particularly, Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho. And he linked their financing, said they've been investigating their financing, and they found high-profile Nigerians sponsoring them. He said particularly lawmakers in the National Assembly presently. And because of this, he mentioned that the unity of the country is not negotiable. I think we have overused that word. I'm not saying whatever criminality they involved in should not be prosecuted or investigated, but the unity of the country should be renegotiated.
Yes,
if where it is now, it's not serving. So people will now feel, included.
Yes.
Let's not continue with a failing template that is not serving certain areas, so we don't continue to have agitations, being sponsored.
I agree with you. Let's move on to the punch. VIPs, National Assembly member funding Igboho, Kanu says Buhari. Defend your land, Bishop tells Southern Kaduna, 38 victims buried. Foreign trips, NMPP petitions Assembly, demands Abiodun, deputy's impeachment, governor returns. 2 killed as policemen kidnappers clash in Lagos forest. Anambra killings continue. 6 cops, drivers killed, police station burnt. CBN shifts e-Naira launch, says no cause for alarm. Buhari has approved teachers' new salary structure, starts January, federal government. Who has what story?
So I have the NMPP petition. The news broke that there was a vacuum in Ogun State some weeks, for the past weeks. The governor, the deputy, and the speaker were all absent in the country. And so the state was left captained. But now the new Nigeria People's Party petitioned the House of Assembly.
Wow.
And I think they did the right thing, asking them that this is an impeachable, grounds, and that the House of Assembly should invoke their powers and start an impeachment process for the governor, who arrived yesterday and then signed the anti-open grazing bill for the state. I think they are on the right track, and the Houses of Assembly should stop sleeping. They should stop sleeping. If the speaker notices that the governor and his deputy did not write about the duration of their travel or leaving of, because it's not a person's business. It is a state you're running. And so there are laws of how it's governed. If you need to leave, you notify the state. If it's on medical grounds, you also notify the state. Either you write to the next in command or to the House of Assembly and the office of the speaker. The speaker does not up and leave. It's not a game where you people will play, I will do my own, and leave. So the Speaker, immediately that happens, has the powers under the Constitution to start an impeachment process, which wakes up every governor, makes everybody sit up and do the right thing. We don't run government party and all those kind of elaborate speeches that we make. So the New Nigeria People's Party petitioned the House of Assembly. Fantastic. I hope they do that. And they are saying if the House of Assembly fails, they'll proceed to court to make them invoke the powers that they have in the House of Assembly. That's how governance and democracy works.
Checks and balance. Yes, I do. Sad stories. The picture story we can see is a burial of, they say, not fewer than 38 people who were murdered on Sunday evening. I took the story in Madamai community, Southern Kaduna. On Thursday, they were buried, and after the funeral service, the Catholic bishop who presided over the funeral service was just saying to the people that, he's urging the people of Southern Kaduna to unite and also to fight against all these terrorists that have rendered them homeless. They had the senator representing Southern Kaduna district as well, saying, for them, it just shows that for the fact that herdsmen can come into their communities and kill people, it shows that their people are not getting the defense or the protection that they need. The president of the Southern Kaduna People's Union, sadly, he mentioned that some of this, the leadership of Southern Kaduna and their elites will write and keep all these atrocities meted out to them for their children to know. He says there are injustices against their community. He says about 104 communities have been displaced. It says in 4 years, many schools have been closed. He says also thousands of civil servants from those communities have been sacked. Some of them, have died without receiving entitlements because so many things happening in that community, plus insecurity. Right. So they're just asking, putting their voice together. It's not really about defending themselves, really. This is a call to the federal government to do more in that community, because every day or every other month would hear of one sort of killing or the other. So please. It's
painful. So the Central Bank of Nigeria on Thursday announced the postponement of the planned unveiling of the country's digital currency, e-Naira. We talked about it with the two guests who came on the show to defend it. So according to the spokesman of the CBN, Mr. Osita Nwanisobi, he announced that, and the plan initially was to launch today, which, coincides with our independence celebration, but they have moved it, though they did not tell us when they will start. But he says that they are working round the clock to ensure that by the time they start, it is seamless and it's able to capture those people who are not even within the banking sector. And they are also talking to banks to understand that they are in this together. They are all going to work hand in hand together. We'll be able to do transactions using the e-money, whatever that means. All right, I think we can move on to the next paper. I don't know if we'll have time to take that before the break. The Tribune. Anambra government kidnap National Assembly member, set police station ablaze, kill 2 policemen. Lagos police arrest suspected abductors of Smith, kill 2 kidnappers in gun duel. Reps grill MDAs over $4,055 billion, 12 million grants, 10 million euros and $12 million grants. Teachers to enjoy new salary structure from January federal government. Last 18 months, most difficult in Nigeria's history, Buhari. How to make Nigeria work, Abdusalami, Jonathan, Atiku, Akinyemi, and others. Who has a story in the Tribune?
So I have the House of Representatives grilling MDAs on a $4 billion, 710 million euros, and everything on external borrowing plan for 2018 to 2020 that has been rolled out. The House Committee on Loans, Aids and Debt Management Chairman, Honorable Safana Dayabu, explained why they are probing this, because the president, again, has communicated to the House to get an addendum to that rolling plan to expand it to cover another rollout plan, which is also broken down. I love particularly that they looked into the loan given to the TCN, that's the Transmission Company of Nigeria. According to the engineer heading that agency, $210 million loan from the African Development Bank is for Nigeria's electricity transmission access project. Another $200 million from Japan International Corporation for the Lagos Ogun Power Transmission Project. Another $200 million is from the French Development Agency loan, and a $4.8 billion China Exim Bank loan is for the Mambila Hydroelectricity Power Project. Another $50 million from French Development Agency loan is for vocational training. But in all of this, he says that they've only received that of the World Bank. And this money is supposed to increase our power electricity generation from 8,000 megawatts to 12,000 megawatts. Okay. I do not agree that generation is our problem. I think transmission has always been the emphasis, that we need to increase our level of transmission. So whether we're working on a power generation, let's please talk about how it will be transmitted.
The newspaper reviews continue after this break. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still on the Tribune, Mary?
Yeah, another killing, another setting ablaze in Anambra State. They said tension has gripped many parts of Anambra State following the killing of 2 persons in 2 locations in the state. They said some gunmen, known gunmen, had, first of all, they set off the Ajali community, Orumba North local government area. They set ablaze a police station there. They also said a policeman was killed. There was a video that's gone viral right now where the eyewitnesses were alleging that there's some people in the police station. They were trying to free them, but they said this is unconfirmed report. And also a convoy of a member of Rep. Newi North, South, and Ekwesigo Federal Constituency. They said government too shot at it. There are 2 reports, but the confirmed report is saying that the member was not in his convoy, but his driver, one of his drivers was shot dead. Wow. And they said that the Oddlies were able to escape, but there are other people who are saying that he was in it. But at the time of this report, his car that was bullet reading is still at the scene of the crime, and the body of the driver was still in the car. And they said these gunmen also took away with them at a certain checkpoint, took guns and left with them. So this is our story as of today. This is the first, we did not really even talk about 1st of October when we were doing our banter, but this is 1st of October, and these are the daily stories that we have to read and people are experiencing. Yeah,
we're coming back to the 1st of October after the newspaper review, but I have a story here. So the Minister of State for Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, has said that teachers will begin to enjoy the new salary structure organized by the President from January 2022. And he said that they're also adding a lot of other incentives, which would include allowances, housing, training, an elongation of service year from 35 years to 40 years for the teachers that they have, studied the problems we have in our educational system. And they realize that there's only one way that they can get the best brains and keep them in that industry is to make them happy and give them most of these incentives. And the fact that COVID-19 came in and it showed how porous our educational system was. Some other countries were able to survive and pick up quickly, but Nigeria struggled because it had to do with the internet. A lot of people were not covered, and that showed during COVID-19, even though they tried to do radio programs, but that was not really sustainable. So they're trying to do everything in terms of technology, in terms of giving teachers incentives, and it will start from January 2022. So hopefully, our teachers would be happy. Moving on.
I'm not so excited.
You're not so excited, Abi?
Until it's
done, right? Moving on to the Vanguard. We'll send ESN after those behind killings in the Southeast, IPOB. Cooking gas price rises 73% NLNG gives insights. Apapa gridlock. Lagos gives 7-day ultimatum to truck drivers. Our father's killing brutal and senseless. Akunyili's family. 24 hours after Senate's call, reps ask Buhari to declare bandits terrorists. Would deal with secessionists, their sponsors, Buhari. Chairmanship. Oyinlola loses out as PDP zones office to North. COVID-19. World Bank seeks debt relief for poor countries. Who has what story?
So I have the two stories in Vanguard. So the chairman of APAPA Traffic Management and Enforcement Committee, and also the special assistant advisor to the governor of Lagos on transportation, Oluwatoyin Fayinka, in an interview with Vanguard, said that they have issued a 7-day ultimatum to trucks and truck drivers to leave the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway leading to the port. That's within 7 days for those of them parked anyhow on the road. And in that same report, he gave a total breakdown of the things that they have been doing. But, you know, we have an opportunity to get clarity on this later today. Yeah. Also, on COVID-19, the World Bank president of the World Bank Group, Dr. David Malpass, made a very, very passionate appeal for poor countries, saying that they should, at this time, due to this, get a debt relief. Because as it is now, poor countries are struggling and their economies are struggling, you know, to recover from some of the costs that they've carried during this period. So rather than gaining grounds, poor countries are being left behind in global tragedy of inequality. There's a drastic narrowing of economic and social progress in creating a time of upheaval in economics, politics, and geopolitical relationship. I appreciate this because truly, truly, I just hope that we can gain from this as a country. So that they don't, you know, qualify us because of our lifestyle as countries that are not struggling. There's this threatening, drastic reality on the streets in Nigeria of the level of poverty that people are, you know, businesses have shut down. People are unemployed presently. Some people lost jobs and livelihood, and they're struggling. So I hope that we qualify and this debt relief would avail our country as well.
You have a story?
Yes, cooking gas. We know everybody's screaming about the prices, and as of today, they're saying that there's a 73% increase in the prices of cooking gas. NLNG, we were talking to them, they said, see, they are not really the reason why the prices are increasing, that there's a shortfall in supply, and it's not their fault, that they are able to produce about 450,000 metric tons, and that is allocated for domestic markets and use. But the markets, that's those who buy from them, are only able to take off 375,000 metric tons. And this is because of shortfall in infrastructure and some other facilities. But they also agree that they're able to just, from production level, that's NLNG position, they're able to meet about 40% of domestic demand. But this is something that they are working on, and they hope to increase it again by another 35%. So that, the lack of facilities, infrastructure, all that has come together to affect the prices.
Wow. Why now?
Good.
So I need the LNG and other regulating agencies on this market to respond to us on how many of us consume, you know, gas. How many people still use gas now? Do people not still use other means of, you know, fuel in other areas, you know, to survive? Why now? I think, and they were the ones who brought in the foreign investors, saying this was a large market, and suddenly now things are hard on people. No, I don't agree on the facility thing. It's always been the same. And it's according to them,
market, but the facilities have not been shored up.
But they said they increased. It's the same people we buy from. So please, I cannot.
They're having a lot of.
Somebody should regulate prices. We don't have a business importing this particular.
We have enough.
We have more than enough of it, and so they should do the needful. Let people live. Lives be easy.
Okay, so there was outrage as a result of the death of Dr. Chike Akunyili. IPOB is saying that they are going to fish out the perpetrators of this act, and they are vowing to stop all the killings that are happening in the southeast. They're also promising that they will likely begin to work with the ESN, or they are going to send the ESN after all this hoodlums and unknown gunmen who are perpetrating these acts. And according to them, they said they've received intelligence report that these hoodlums are trying to infiltrate the East, and they are going to be carrying out a lot of killings, which they are going to be blaming on IPOB members. That IPOB is not out for blood. They are not killing their own people. They are fighting for freedom and not killing. And they also heard that these people will also start going to schools to start attacking children. So anyone who comes out to enforce sit at home, which has not been given or has been lifted, should be, you should fight them, know that they are not IPOB members. So I'm happy with the part that they said they're likely going to be working with ESN. So this is the way to go, so that we can fish out the criminal elements who are perpetrating all of this.
I'm happy that the East now understands that the common enemy is the criminal, not each other. Wow. Find the criminal, because what has happened to the Akunyili family is really heartbreaking and so sad. That's not the way that particular family, the patriarch of that family should have gone. Yes. After the sacrifice that we have, what we've enjoyed because of the sacrifice from that family. They have really sad.
Thank you, ladies, for your contributions. That's all we can take on the newspaper review. When we come back, we discuss our hot topics. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. For our Independence Day special, we'll be speaking with a renowned international development specialist, security consultant, policy and governance expert. We'll also be focusing on Nigeria at 61, our security, economy, call for secession, corruption, governance, and our electoral system. 2023 general election. Before we bring in our guests, who will be joining us soon to talk about this, we'd like to hear your thoughts on where we are at 61. So join the conversation on 081-270-53687 or 091-390-76948. So ladies, happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day, Nigerians. Yeah.
So where are we? Where are we? What are your thoughts about Nigeria 61?
I listened on Radio Nigeria this morning to the president's speech. And I think for the first time, they have a proper breakdown of everything, because all the areas you wanted to listen to. I listened for the first half, though. Started with COVID and the gains. And, on COVID, you really cannot, you can't find faults. You can't fault. Yeah, aside that, we did not do enough testing, which he didn't refer to. But we are doing enough to make sure that it doesn't spread. And he still also, in his speech, implored Nigerians to continue with all the prevention protocols to ensure that we don't have a spread. And he was grateful to God that we're not on the COVID variant 4, or what they call Delta variant, that we're not where other countries are with that new variant, and that we're doing everything to prevent that. So I couldn't fault that. But then he promised, that's where the hope is, that, me and my boys were shouting, why are we collecting vaccine? He promised that, that the CBN have a $200 million grant. So I think the sovereign grant, which will be working with that of the CBN, will be given to pharmaceutical companies so that we can ensure that we start our own local production. And then he talked about possible viruses like, what we're dealing with presently. If they come, we want to be able to provide our people with vaccines. That is the way to go. I was just hoping that it would be happening already. But, it's good that they're also thinking where we are thinking. And I hope it's not just lip service, that, they truly start producing those vaccines here. There's know-how. For our weapons to fight criminality, we have to buy. To fight diseases also, we have to go and beg. He talked about how poor countries and other countries, and how countries around the world at the UN General Assembly should not hoard vaccines to themselves. There should be proper spread of it. It's good. But we used to be a country that we donated.
Say we too.
We too, in the past. We used to be a country. I grew up believing, I still do, And I think that the way to go is to call them back to whatever vision that existed before them, so they should not destroy it pata pata. But I remember then on the National Television Authority, I used to hear about the great country Nigeria, how we assisted other countries in distress, how we donated, how we get... And now we are constantly going out to borrow, to beg, to, you know, it's just not sounding nice.
Yes, so happy 1st of October to everyone.
Yeah.
There are two things that really caught my attention with this speech that the president made. First of all, I agree with Nima. I think this particular speech sort of handled almost nearly everything that we have complained and talked about. So there's nothing as tiny as Twitter that he did not mention, and, you know, really gave it much thought. And you would see that there's a, you know, people have sat down to think about this and then to respond to us. Now, the doing is the second part. Yeah. But the talking that we have always asked, I think this particular speech really addressed a lot of things. So one of the things I said really caught my attention. He says that today, despite the many challenges we face, many Nigerians still want us to be together, and that's just the truth. Yesterday was Cultural Day in most schools. Our children were dressed up in all colors, different colors representing different parts of Nigeria so proudly and so beautifully. And I just looked at it, I said, where are we going? We're going nowhere. I mean, we're so beautiful, so blessed. We really, what Nigerians are talking about is that we really just want it to work. We don't want anybody to feel marginalized. Where anyone feels marginalized, we want you to be able to address those issues. We want to make this work. This morning on my way to work, there are a group of cyclists all dressed in green colors celebrating Nigeria. And these are people from different walks of life, different religions, different parts of the country, different languages. But we're all together. Essentially, Nigerians really just want to be together. And he got that right. Then secondly, another thing that caught my attention is that he acknowledged that the past 18 months have been the most difficult periods in the history of Nigeria. Since the Civil War, I doubt whether we have seen a period of more heightened challenges that we have witnessed in this period. Thank you, sir. Because sometimes, you know, we have sat down here and we're saying, do these people understand what we're going through? Does he know
what is happening?
Does he even know? Is he part of it? Are they hiding it from him? But obviously they know. And now they're speaking the language that... And now that you're speaking in this language, you've met Nigerians sort of halfway. Now we're talking to people and we're listening to people who understand where we are. Who understand that when we're screaming and shouting, it's not really about politics. It's because we just want something, you know, we just want a better Nigeria. And so... going eventually, of course, subsequently, all the things that he talked about, he listed Apapa, gridlock, everything was COVID, of course, agriculture, everything was well addressed.
For me, I was, when I was looking at it this morning, because I couldn't hear him, I was on my way to work then, got into the makeup room while he was just rounding up the speech. So when I read it today, I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. He actually itemized every problem that we are having, and he has given possible solutions on what's, you know, the people who are in charge are going to be doing. But when it comes to the unity part, I would also want him to listen more to people. A lot of people are still feeling choked. There's nothing we can do about it over the years. You know, it's precedents now. They have followed what has happened to their forefathers and their fathers. And over the years, they're still feeling like in this one Nigeria, we are not heard. We don't have a voice. A lot of people feel like they are minorities. And I think the president should listen to them, hear them out. Let us come to the table again and renegotiate. I want one Nigeria. I want us to be together. I don't have any other place I want to go to. I don't want to go to another country to become a second-class citizen. This is my home, this is my country. But we need to come together as one people that have equal powers and equal voices. That's where I think he should look into more. But our guest is ready for us, Dr. Ndubuisi Nwokolo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing today, sir?
Fine. Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day, sir. Are you wearing any of the Nigerian outfit?
Colors.
Well, in my mind, I am.
Okay. Did you listen to the president's speech this morning?
I read it. I have it, so I read through everything. Yes.
Okay. What do you think about it? What's your position?
First, I think it's comprehensive. It touched on every part of our national life. It touched on every sector. However, I think many of them didn't come out with strategy on route on how to achieve it. Initially, when I started reading, initially I felt the call for unity didn't come with a lot of empathy. That was my first feeling. And then when I went through the COVID part, which I felt was well detailed,
yes.
But in my head, while I was reading, I was like, okay, what we achieved during COVID, we can translate that into other aspects of our national life, especially on the area of insecurity.
Yes.
Because if you watch what happened during COVID, we didn't succeed because the Nigerian state succeeded. We succeeded because Nigerians succeeded. Nigerians had what the state wanted to do. Nigerians came out and helped the state in achieving it. You could see the money the private sector mustered. People stayed at home. People obeyed. People understood the importance of it.
Yeah.
So if you look through that, what if we translate the same energy and spirit into other aspects of our national life, especially in the issue of peace building and insecurity, we will achieve a lot. So I think for me, that was good. However, there was a point I didn't agree with, and I felt whoever wrote that should be mindful of that, knowing that we're a country where issues are being judged anyhow, and issues are being judged based on how people feel. Yeah. The part where Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho were mentioned, if I was the speechwriter, I wouldn't put that.
Yes.
Because you were asking that people financing them. But Nigerians have been calling, why are you not telling us the names of people who are funding Boko Haram and the bandits? So why are you mentioning Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho? I would not put that. Nigerians know that already, and we're trying to deal with that. So don't mention them. Don't glorify them. I felt that shouldn't be mentioned. So on the area of youth, I think that was important. On the area of National Social Investment Program, I think that is good. And I know the government is working hard to find a way to get the economy working. I think he touched on every aspect of our national life. But, Nigerians who've had some of these rhetorics over and over again. So the answer now is, or the question now is, Mr. President,
what next?
How do we get this working?
Yes.
I think that's the most important thing for us now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ndubuisi. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, this conversation continues. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Dr. Ndubuisi, are you still there? Yes, so let me ask you as a security expert. A lot of people have said that we will not have a headway in security issues if it's still in the exclusive list. What's your thought on it?
Yeah, I think whoever said that is right. First, I tell people that security is local. It's local in the sense that local intelligence is important for any result you want to achieve. Now, issue about state police have been in our front burner. We've tried to drag it left and right and center, and we will not be able to agree whether is the route to follow. But for me, what I say is that I've never seen any book written practical route to swimming. If you need to swim, you need to jump inside the swimming pool. You can't be outside and reading the theory on how to swim. So we need to agree that if we need to achieve this level of security that we need, there must be an element of decentralization in such a way that local communities and the state get involved. You can't be in Abuja and be directing what is happening in my community over. You know, like in my every community has its own vigilante. So how do you fuse in these vigilante groups into a state-designed architecture that pulls everything together? It cannot be happening from Abuja. So I think whoever said that policing cannot be in the. I want to use policing now, not just the military. Yes, is a state. Is meant for the state, as in the country. But issue of policing must have a second level, even a third level. You know, as is done in, especially considering the constitution we are running. We are running a federal constitution. Yeah. It's not a unitary state. So local government should have a kind of a design local government security architecture. Then the state should have its own. Yeah. And then the federal. You can now interwove all these things together to have an architecture that works for a country.
Thank you, sir. Let's get in a few more questions.
So Dr. Nwokolo, I'm trying to, let's get a positive. We have sort of dissected the negative. Do you think this is a positive where, the president mentioned that we have currently done about 13,000 kilometers of roads and bridges under construction all over the country, and a fair percentage of them have been completed? He also talked about the extension and upgrading of the Nigerian railway network, and he talked about the Warri-Itakwe standard gauge rail line coming up. For me, I think that's a positive, and that's a fact. What do you think?
Of course, anywhere in the world, infrastructure is a positive. We all know what is happening in the U.S. between the $1 trillion and $2.5 trillion, which they are trying to raise for infrastructure development in the U.S. The important thing is for us to understand that what infrastructure does is that it opens up an area, but it's critical for you to know that it's not only about you putting up an infrastructure. Is that infrastructure able to sustain itself and pay back the loan that you've used in doing it? I think that's where most Nigerians are a bit. I want to use the word worry. Worry in the sense that some are asking, okay, this is good, but in the long run, would it be able to generate the money to pay back what the investment you've made? I'll give you an instance. We all know about the Lekki toll gate. If I'm an investor and you've given me Lekki toll gate, I will be so happy to do that. A private investor, I'll be so happy to do the investment because I know that any money I put there, I should be able to get it back. Yes. Even if I'm doing 100% investment or a PPP. But if you do an investment where you are not able to recover the money, it becomes an issue. But there might be an argument from people on the other side, or what is the social value of an investment? We understand that at times an investment should have a social value, where the government is not really there to earn anything. But however, we all know what is happening. Oil, we are running out of the grace of oil. So every investment we do now as a country, we need to be critical about it. We need to have cross our T's and dot our I's. It's not time now to throw money away because we don't even have the one to throw away. So we have to be critical with every investment, especially how do we pay back.
All right, Dr.
I think that is critical.
Okay, so the president referred to media this morning when he talked about unfiltered comments and, proper investigation that, Nigerian media houses must do whatever it takes to vet whatever they give to the public. But we found where, some reporters have investigated stories neatly, like the ones about the prisons done by, I can't remember.
Journalist?
Yes, a journalist, the one done within the prisons, and we did not see any result. We've seen reporters doing as much as they can to lock a story down, and they release that about agencies, and we don't see any revamp within the agencies. What do you have to say about, that side of this statement?
I remember when President Clinton came to Nigeria after he left office, that was a statement he made. He said that our critics are our best friends because most times they tell us the path to follow. I think that's what that's what the media is there to do for any government. You listen, you critique, and then if the idea they are bringing is the route to follow, there's nothing there in you saying, I need to follow that. when I talked about the issue about doing the naval base in Kano, if you read columns written by Nigerian journalists on that, you understand that the government didn't have any need doing that. For instance, if you read the speech of the Mr. President today, he talked about the piracy, which we're a bit trying to win the war.
Yes.
Imagine if the naval base, if there's the naval base around our coastal lines, maybe in Bayelsa State or Rivers State, are improved more. Don't you think that it will, if the result we are getting is 10%, that it will increase it by 40%?
I agree.
So why are you starting a new project where it is not needed? You're wasting money that we don't have. So a situation where media come to do such a criticism, they are blamed for saying the truth. Government is there to listen.
Yes.
We're all in this together. You know, I pay my tax. My children will equally pay some of the debt that we are generating today for them now.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So there is right for us to say whatever thing that is the truth, knowing that conscience is an open wound. It's only the truth that heals it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ndubuisi Nwokolo. Thanks for joining us in this conversation. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we move on to our last topic. Let's talk topics. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show is the Acting Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, Mohammed Bello Koko, to take us through the operations of the Nigerian Ports Authority, notably the allegations of the endemic extortion and corruption at the Apapa ports, decongesting the Apapa ports, making other ports viable, encouraging non-oil exports, and so on. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, sir. It's been 4 months since you took over leadership at the NPA. How has it been for you?
So don't forget that I have been part of the executive management of Nigerian Ports Authority ab initio before I was made the acting managing director. So it has been easier to actually fill in that position and see to the operations of Nigerian Ports Authority. What I did was to look at the mandate of Nigerian Ports Authority, which are basically to ensure the smooth operation of the ports and ensure, easy evacuation of cargo, and then revenue generation, trade facilitation, and so on and so forth. And we picked those mandates, and I ensured that we followed up to ensure that we have moved from where we are to at least a better position since I assumed position.
All right, sir. You know the Apapa gridlock, Apapa issue is a major problem in Nigeria right now. And just simply, what is the plan to decongest Apapa?
Okay, so let me first of all explain what is happening in Apapa and the Tinkan axis. If you remember, recently, Nigerian Ports Authority deployed what we call an ETO app, and we created a truck transit park. The essence here was to ensure that trucks that are coming into the port actually go into that park before they get to the port. We have about 27, 29 satellite truck parks. All trucks are supposed to go into those parks. And from those parks, they are not supposed to be called into what we call a pre-gate. So there are some parks that are pre-gates. Pre-gate means from that location, you now move into the ports. The essence here is to streamline the movement of trucks, streamline cargo evacuation in and out of it. Now, out of the 29 or so truck parks, probably about 7 or 8 of them have deployed the physical infrastructure that are needed. This includes bollards, it includes internet deployment, that is IT deployment. It also includes automated gate control system. What we have discovered is that some of the trucks do not go to those parks. So for instance, there's a manifest system. Terminal A, B, and C need a certain number of trucks to come in. So that means when you log in and you have your ATO ticket, if you are at the parks, you will automatically be called over to come into those locations. So where the trucks are bypassing that, is where we have a problem. But currently, I can say that if you look at the Tinkan Mile 2 axis, that is where the major problem is. But the Apapa, Ijora part of the corridor is more smooth. We can say that 80% is better. You can ask people living in Apapa, there is better in and out there. But the Tinkan Apapa, the Tinkan corridor to Mile 2 is a major problem. One of the reasons there is the road network, which is currently being reconstructed. Yes, and some of the physical infrastructure has not been deployed by TTP yet.
So I live around that axis of town, the Mile 2 Amodofe area, and I see trucks constantly parked. On Friday last week, I couldn't even get out of Amodofe to Oshodi Apapa Expressway on the other side to walk because Apapa Tinkan has started again. And people constantly worry that, you know, there have been interventions, task forces, and all of this. Despite all of the efforts of government from federal to state, something is happening on that axis that is defying every solution. One of the major allegations also is that there's a large level of corruption. We had the task force chairperson for truck drivers, or some, I think truckers, on the show last week. We also had the professor of transportation on the show, and all of them were able to establish this. What have you found as the MD now? What have you found to be the realities there, and what are you doing exactly? Whether are you working with them to deal with this, or what exactly is the plan to deal with Mile 2 Tinkan axis? Okay, so first of all, let's identify that the problem with Mile 2 Tinkan axis is, first of all, the road itself. Between Sunrise and Mr. Biggs, the road is terrible. We have held meetings with the Director of Works of Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. We have also held a meeting with Dangote High Tech to see if they can provide palliative works at those locations. If they do that, the flow of traffic will be better. But we accept that there is massive issues of corruption and extortion along that corridor. Now, I have taken bikes, that's Okada, at night in the afternoon, 3-4 times I have done it, probably up to 6 times, because I wanted to see what was happening for myself. I didn't want someone to report to me what was happening. And what I discovered were multiple checkpoints, ad hoc checkpoints that were not supposed to be there. And therefore, because there are those checkpoints, there are issues of extortion. And what we are saying is, this is done by virtually everybody. Uniformed men, it doesn't matter, police, military, navy, virtually everyone is involved. So it's not just one government agency that is involved in this. What we have done was to call a meeting of all the agencies and plead with them to, first of all, identify what checkpoints should be in place. So on that axis, if we identify 5-6 checkpoints, it means any other checkpoint outside the identified checkpoints is illegal. But then what are the checkpoints supposed to be doing also? They are not supposed to interfere with the free flow of traffic. They are supposed to check the ATO tickets and be sure that the truck that is at point B is supposed to be there. It would have gotten probably its ATO ticket before it gets there. And if it doesn't, you send it backwards. And that's what we have been doing. We have held meetings with the truck drivers themselves. One of the major problems is also some of the truck drivers, in their bid to hurry up and get into the port, actually get on the queue without the TDO being ready. So they'll be on the queue, they are waiting to get approval to get into the port. So they don't even move. They slow down their movement, thereby creating a lot of traffic at the back. We also discovered truck drivers. There's a building somewhere around Apapa Gate where you can actually go into, and in probably 15-20 minutes, you get a brand new plate number that you will use along with your ATO ticket. So there have been theft of ATO tickets. And what we have done was to ask that instead of numbers or figures, let the ATO ticket turn to a barcode. It means that when you have a barcode, you will scan it and you'll be able to move to the next level. But I want to thank the various agencies of government and the Lagos State government in particular. The Lagos State governor has taken personal interest in what is happening in Tinkan and Apapa. The Minister of Transport also has paid personal interest in what is going on. He keeps calling permanently. He goes there quietly and checks what is going on. Lagos State government has been in collaboration with NPA to provide enforcement. Enforcement here is to ensure that trucks are not parked along the road, illegally,
and so on and so forth. So we are having stakeholder collaborations.
Sorry to interrupt you. For the ETO call-up system, there's been I don't know how to put it. Let's just call it corruption again, of, like you admitted, issuing numbers and people generating numbers for a select number of main players in this industry. So some people have up to 100 trucks and they secured their people. They have insiders who also sabotage the system for select few. This can be investigated. According to the truck task force chairperson, when he came here, they discovered even an account where they were paying an 11,000 amount to that they presented to you. All these have been investigated. Can there be consequences within that system? Can people with names be mentioned and punished to deter continuity?
Okay, so let me first of all comment on what you just said. The accounts that we're talking about, so the ETO system is made like this. You are supposed to, as an importer, first of all, you, the truck owner, you are supposed to register. We have over 80,000 trucks registered on ETO platform. We created and ensured that there should be a minimum safety standard for these trucks. But out of the 80,000, probably only 16,000 have met the minimum safety standard. Now, you're supposed to go into that app and book a truck that should carry your container, okay? So when you do that, that means you already have a deal. And when you have that deal, it means that you will be on schedule to come in. You will be manifested. That means there is a manifest on who should come in and who should not come in. Okay. Now, we discovered that the truck drivers are not able to use the app themselves. So they found people by the roadside that have ATM machines. So they pay them, and then these people now pay the money to TTP, which is the company managing ETO. So you now see where that allegation is coming from. But we have called them and had a meeting with them and said, you know what, you need to learn this thing. This thing is on your phone. It's an app. You should be able to pay for your ETO charges so that you don't, because what they do is they pay someone to pay ETO and they also pay charges to that person.
Extra.
Okay.
They pay extra to that person.
The account is also registered in the name ETO TTP because what...
Yes, so let's assume you are the person that collects the funds on behalf of TTP. You now transfer to TTP in order to get the ETO ticket. And that's what has been happening. It has been investigated. We call we have a marine department, marine police, and we have spoken with our AIG, and he has investigated, and that's when we discovered that this was what was happening. The truck drivers, we have told them they need to come together and understand this. There have been a lot of, meetings with them. We have sensitized them on how to use this app. The power is in their hands, and they should be able to use this app.
So one of the things some experts have said, if we want to really decongest Apapa ports, for instance, is to find a way to encourage other people to use other ports like the ones in Rivers, in Delta. Is there any plan of the MPA to probably reduce their tariff as a way of incentive for them to use other ports and also get those ports ready?
Okay, so I want to take the issue of the eastern ports from three perspectives. First of all, a bit of a history on those ports, and then what is the problem with those ports, and then what we are doing about it.
Okay.
So the Calabar, Warri, and Brew 2 ports were, in so many years ago, were being managed by private mercantile companies, enterprises. And in 1969, the federal government of Nigeria came up with a decree they called Nationalization of Private Ports. And that enabled Nigerian Ports Authority to take over the management of Calabar, Warri, and Brew 2 ports. Nigerian Ports Authority then paid about 3.1 billion naira to take over these ports. Now, those that located these ports, located them far away from the ocean. Warri Port is about 109 kilometers away from the starting of the channel, that is the Fairway Buoy. Calabar Port is about 101 kilometers away. That means the channel is 101 kilometers. Rivers Port is about 90 kilometers. Meanwhile, Lagos Port is just about 9.25 kilometers. So that means they have a geographical disadvantage. And because of the distance of the ports, there is a high siltation along the channel. Now, that siltation means it becomes more expensive to maintain them because there are so many tributaries and distributaries. But let me take the Warri Port, for instance. The problem with Warri Port, first of all, so all these locations in the east have one major issue. two issues. First is the geographical disadvantage, and then security issues. Oh. In Lagos, you can move vessels in and out of the port any time of the day, any time of the night. The Eastern Port, there is a window. Between a certain time in the morning and in the afternoon, you can move vessels out of port or into port. After that, our pilots cannot go for security reasons. Oh. So that limits time. Whoa. Yes, and it affects efficiency at those locations also. The second issue, let's say for Warri now, Warri currently, there is a breakwater. A breakwater is a physical infrastructure that is built in the ocean to reduce siltation and reduce the effect of waves, ocean waves, into the channel. Mm-hmm. That physical infrastructure is about 8.5 kilometers long, and it collapsed probably 9-10 years ago. It has not been rebuilt. On what we are doing on Warri, we are currently doing a bathymetric survey and geotechnical survey by Royal Haskoni. And after that survey, they will come up with a proper design to either reconstruct the existing physical infrastructure, that's the breakwater, or to build a new one. So Warri also has a pipe, an NNPC pipe, that is about 7 meters under. That means you cannot dredge Warri deeper than 7 meters. But these days, because of economies of scale, everybody wants to bring in bigger vessels. Yeah. If you go to Rivers Port is very old. In fact, it has reached its end-of-year life. Rivers Port is supposed to either be reconstructed or a new one is supposed to be constructed. Calabar Port also, because of the distance and dilapidation and dredging hasn't been taking place. But what have we done now? First of all, let me state it that Nigerian Ports Authority is not in a position to decide for a consignee where to take his goods to. Oh. Okay. They are the ones that take that decision.
They are private businesses.
They are private businesses. But what we have done was to provide incentives, tariff relief at those eastern ports so that shipping lines and importers can also send in their goods, their cargo into those ports. So probably if you are bringing in something into Lagos ports and at the end of the day the total is $1 million with what we are giving and you are paying probably 500,000-600,000 at the eastern ports, maybe it will encourage people to bring in their cargo into those. But we have seen an increase in importation in those locations. And I think in the next few weeks, we will also review that tariff and see if we can bring it down.
So based on what you've said now, sorry.
Yeah, can I go?
Go, please.
Okay, so, just a quick follow-up to this. My question would be, even though we understand you cannot determine for importers and exporters which ports they should use, but considering the congestion at the Apapa port, what is the federal government and NPA considering long-term? Is it that this will eventually be fixed, and does it cost so much money that you do not think it will be fixed within 2-3 years? Is there a timeline that you're looking at and saying, okay, we need to raise funds and then give us like a 5-year period or a 10-year period to make sure these ports are up and going?
So let me state first of all that the ports in Lagos have reached their capacity. They are operating far beyond their installed capacity. Okay. The city has caught up with the ports. There is no space to expand those ports. However, the Minister of Transportation has increasingly encouraged the Nigerian Ports Authority, and that discussion has started to look at how to reconstruct the ports. There is a limitation in terms of the depth of the quay walls. The design there at the quay walls is maximum of about 13. So that means you cannot also dredge the channel deeper than 13 meters. And because of that, that has reduced, we are not able to bring bigger vessels into those locations. So there is discussion currently between Nigerian Ports Authority and the terminal operators to find alternative sources to rebuild those ports. Now, rebuilding is not just the physical infrastructure, the IT system, the equipment. Currently, there is no port in Nigeria that has a ship-to-ship crane, whereby you pick a container, you understand. Yeah, so you understand. So we are ensuring that that is being done. And we are also looking for, we have started discussion with other multilateral financial agencies that are likely to provide funding for development of these ports. The other alternative is for the terminal operators to build the ports, and then we amortize over time.
So do we have a timeline?
So this has already started, and we believe that in the next 2 years maximum, these ports should have been reconstructed. But don't also forget, finally, the Lekki Deep Sea Port will come on stream next year. That is going to be a game changer. It's going to have a minimum draft of 16 0.5 meters, which no port location has in Nigeria. It's going to bring in a lot of trade into the country. Currently, we have a lot of ship-to-ship businesses offshore in neighboring countries, and we believe Lekki Deep Sea Port will take over that business.
All right,
the Badagry Port too is going to come on stream. So these are the plans.
All right. Let's take a breather now. When we come back, this conversation continues. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Miriam had a question.
Yes. Follow up on what you just said. As exciting as it is to have a new port in the Lekki area and the impact it will have on our economy, I'm sure the residents of Lekki are listening and thinking, so what is happening to the residents in Apapa will be brought to our area. What is the plan to make sure that this does not cause the chaos in Lekki that's causing right now in Apapa?
So the difference between Lekki and the ports in Tinkana and Apapa is already there is a plan in terms of development of the road network in that area. Don't forget, Lekki is owned by a private investor, Lagos State government, and then the federal government represented by Nigerian Ports Authority. And then I know that there is already a plan to design a rail system that will terminate at the port. That will help in evacuation of cargo. So the problem you have here in Tinkana and Apapa is because it's a very old location that has not been any proper town planning. But there's a proper town planning, and I know that the Lagos State government is very serious about developing the road network there. The cargo doesn't need to come into town. I was made to understand that it's a road they could take into Shagamu and so on and so forth. So that's not going to happen. We held a meeting with Lekki Deep Sea Port about 2 weeks ago, and it was one of the issues that was discussed and was addressed. And the Lagos State governor is very keen in ensuring that the road network in Lekki is resolved.
Quickly, what happened to Ikorodu Port? I think it was abandoned. I need clarity on that. And also, if there are private investors collaborating with government on all tiers in Lagos, what is the problem with Akeredolu's proposed deep sea port in Ondo, which will, of course, take care of the large traffic on roads heading towards, the southeast?
Okay, so let me take the issue of the port in the Ikorodu. Ikorodu wasn't abandoned. Ikorodu is a lighter terminal. That means big vessels cannot come there. There is a limitation in terms of the draft. But it was now designated to be a location for overtime cargo. And overtime cargo, let's just assume any cargo that has spent more than 90 days at the port is supposed to be taken to Ikorodu, or is supposed to be declared by the terminal operator and then taken to Ikorodu. But Ikorodu is currently filled up. We have probably over 3,000 or 4,000 containers in Ikorodu. It didn't start now. The issue of congestion in Ikorodu itself has been there for so long, probably for more than 10 years. We have written to the CG Customs, and we appreciate the efforts it's making in auctioning the containers currently in Ikorodu. I also know that there are over 1,000 vehicles in Ikorodu. So we need those to be auctioned up for us to also take out the overtime cargo that are currently at various port locations into Ikorodu. I know that auctioning has begun, but we please plead that it should be hastened up so that that port will be free, and then that location will be free, and then the other overtime cargo at the other port locations can now be pulled out and taken to Ikorodu to create more space at the ports of Tinkana and Apapa. For the other question, so there was a proposal between Ondo and Ogun State to create a port. Both states agreed to do that. And then we are now seeing a situation whereby one of the states want to break away and create another port location. And we have encouraged them to come up with an agreement between themselves, whether each of them wants to create a separate port, which is what we are seeing. But what we are seeing is it's not economically viable for the two states to have two different deep sea ports. The proximity is too close. And all the economic indices, the financial model has shown that it is not viable to have those two ports. This decision should not be a political decision. It should be an economic decision in the best interest of both states and Nigeria in particular. We know that the OBC for those ports has already been done. We are studying it. We have reached an advanced stage, and very soon a conclusion will be reached.
Okay, let's take this call from Hassan. Good morning, Hassan, from Lekki.
To the acting managing director of Nigeria Port Authority. I have two questions for you, Koko. Number one is about the gridlock in Apapa, the corruption that led to the gridlock in Apapa, and the principal people that are culpable to this. Number one, the police, the army, FPA security, the LASMA, road safety. These are the principal culprits. What are you doing now to checkmate the FPA security, your purview? Because a lot of people are having problems in accessing the port due to the corruption of the personnel of FPA.
Is that all, sir? Okay, can you respond to that?
Okay, so like you mentioned, the issue of extortion, so there's a team. The team involves, the team set up by Lagos State government, which involves LASMA, the police, and then you have MPA staff. For us, discipline, when it comes to such issues, we take it very seriously. There was an incident we investigated, and we identified 6 persons, 6 security staff of Nigerian Ports Authority, and we have taken measures against them. And we will keep doing that. We will keep investigating. We are thinking of using other digital ways. Because you see, when you say someone collected money, they have evolved so much now that it's the area boys that stand on the road to collect money while the uniformed men and others are standing by the side.
Wow.
So if you accuse someone, the onus is on you to prove it. So we have taken measures. But I also know that when it comes to the police, we have written to the IG. The IG has promised to take the adequate measures, and other uniformed security agencies. We have also submitted a list of police officers that we have found to be consistently involved in the extortion along that corridor to the Lagos State governor. He has that list, and he has promised to take action adequately. What we realize is there are police officers that, as if their umbilical cord has been buried in that location.
Thank you.
They have refused to leave that location, and we have pleaded with the IG that he should please redeploy those officers, and he has promised to take action. The other problem we have is the issue of jurisdiction. We have marine police. Their jurisdiction ends within the port corridor. Anything outside that, they cannot act on it. And we have pleaded that that jurisdictional issues should be amended in such a way that when there are issues on the road in front of our ports, the police that are attached to the Nigerian Ports Authority, that's the Marine Police, should be able to take action. We have a CP. You understand? CP Marine, he's there. We have a port.
There's a possibility of collaboration with the Marine Police and the guys on the
So the issue here is, as long as he has jurisdiction outside and there's a problem outside, we'll hold him responsible. But if something happens outside, you are reporting to the CP Lagos. The CP Lagos does not report to Nigerian Ports Authority. He reports to the IG and the Lagos State governor. The Lagos State governor, in a certain meeting, has called the CP police to say, listen, this is what I need you to do. We need to dismantle all these checkpoints. We need to ensure that those who have spent too long at those locations be moved out. Some have been redeployed, but some are still there. And we are pleading for this. The extortion in that corridor is massive, and it's ad hoc. You just wake up and you see 20, 30 checkpoints along that corridor. Instead of 3 or 4 or 5.
All right, sir. Let me ask you how long it takes to process export of goods outside the country. Because a lot of exporters and importers are complaining that they're losing money every day with their goods stuck at the ports and nothing is being done. So how long is it supposed to take? How long does it really take to clear and to export?
On assumption of duty as acting managing director of Nigerian Ports Authority, one of the first things I did after looking at what ATO is doing and how to improve it is to look at exports. I am more interested in export of commodities than the import. It's not that the import, we're an import-dependent economy, but exports will improve and help our GDP. And we looked at it and realized that some of the exporters actually do not finish processing their documents before they come to the port. So that means they are on the queue, they are slowing down. Some of them are also exporting illegal items. So they are waiting until a certain person is at the gate before he gets there. And then, but to be candid, there are also delays in that. What have we done? What we have done is we just, a few weeks ago, actually created an export processing terminal in Lily Pond. The essence of that is actually to support the President Buhari's government policy on diversification of the economy and improvement of non-oil exports. Those parks, that particular park is supposed to have an internationally, accredited facility where you have the ability to process, to package, to sort, and then you close the container from there and straight to the port. So it means that that location will be able to you just finish your documentation and everything. So there will be customs, all government agencies will be there. And then recently we have also advertised for people to express interest. We want to establish 10 of those export processing terminals. There will be cooling rooms and so on and so forth because of perishable export commodities and items. And then we will ensure that the speed at which these exports are processed and taken into the ports is actually very fast. Some of the exporters don't even finish, filling their NXP forms before they come to the ports. And then one major problem, let's assume a vessel is coming on the 15th of a month. The exporters actually at times get to the port on the 1st or 2nd or 3rd of the month.
Wow.
So the shipping companies are saying, no, you cannot come in until the ship has arrived so that we will load your container immediately. You understand? That way you are not occupying space at the port. So it's a cycle of issues. What we need to keep doing is re-engage them and encourage them to ensure that their documents are complete and so on and so forth. We will give priority to export. We are reviewing what is going on. ETO is a live app. So anything you do, you are tweaking the current system. Let me explain something. The whole of that is a cycle. So in that cycle, you have the truckers, you have the importers, you have the exporters, you have the community living around Tinkan and Apapa. Anything you tweak can actually affect the whole cycle. So you need to be careful how you are amending these things. And gradually we are amending it. We are coming up with policies that will ensure that when they call it reverse booking, we are going to test run it. When a truck goes into the port to drop container, you should be able to book a deal to pick out a container
So it doesn't
out
come
of
out
the port.
empty.
So it doesn't come out empty. So that will reduce all that. Let me finally say this, please. ETO, that was truck in and out of about 21,570 trucks in May. By last month, what we had was about 53,640 trucks in and out. That shows a tremendous increase in the number of trucks that are going in and out of the port. Can we do better? Yes, we can actually double that. You understand? And we are working on that.
Okay. So recently, there's an MOU signed with Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire on port operation. Of what significance is that?
So the agreement with the MOU with the port of Abidjan is more like a, multilateral agreement that we are trying to create between Nigeria Ports Authority, the port of Abidjan, and other ports in Africa. There are very few direct port-to-port sea link between those two countries. We are a bigger country. We have more ports than Abidjan or than Ivory Coast. So this is to create a relationship between the two. There are learning points from them and there are learning points from us. And also it's to increase trade facilitation between both countries. And there is a commitment to also work together where there are deficiencies in Nigeria that we believe we can learn from the port of Cote d'Ivoire. We will go and learn it and bring it back here, and vice versa also. And so that's the essence of that MOU that we have with them.
So what are you doing about bonded terminals now? Because I live in Satellite Town and Satellite B, the entire area, the environment, down to Irede, you have trucks parked anyhow. And when they are ready to take over the roads, the people living there are subjected to worse hardship than you can imagine. I live there. I live through it. That's my reality. What exactly do you plan to do? What's the regulation for them? Why are we trying to decongest Apapa and then they're congesting Old Ojo roads? And the state of the road, who is speaking for that area? What exactly is happening?
I cannot speak about the state of the road there. That is actually outside my pay grade. Let me use that word. But for the bonded terminals, some of them actually have badge licenses also. and we are encouraging them to use badges. That is one of the things we have introduced to reduce congestion in all the port locations. And we are really, really encouraged to see the amount of cargo that is being moved by those through the cargo. So we are looking at what the activities of the bonded terminals. If there is need for us to request that some of them relocate from some areas, we are ready to do that. Discussions have started. We are calling them as stakeholders also. And we are looking at their activities and when do the trucks get in, when do they come out, and so on and so forth. That discussion is taking place. And I believe that within this month,
where do you take complaints? Because I have names of some of them. Where do we take complaints of the activities to?
You can give it to me if you want right now. But actually, if you go to MPA website, it's an interactive website. Take it from me. We have a Servicom department that on a daily basis looks at complaints being lodged, inquiries also. And there's a GM responsible for that. And we need to encourage people to lay in their complaints, you understand? And we will review them and we'll get back to you. That is taken for granted.
All right, one final question, sir.
Yeah, so we have someone who sent a message, says, as a farmer, what consideration is given to people importing agricultural produce if they have to stay on the queue for too long? Are there any consideration given to them, especially as we understand the
perishable goods?
Yeah,
did he say importing or exporting?
Importing.
So is the same thing also? The same. So we give windows for trucks to get into the port and come out of the port. Some will go in between 1 in the morning to say 3 in the morning, so on and so forth. So we give consideration to reefers, to trucks that are going to bring fish and other things at the port. We do not delay those ports. Their window is very important because we know that in a few hours, in a few days, those goods will actually expire. And that has been going on. And I'm sure if he looks at it, he'll see that there has been a tremendous improvement in terms of access to the ports by importers of perishable items.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with the Acting Managing Director of the Nigeria Ports Authority, Mohammed Bello Koko. Thank you for giving us a wonderful explanation of everything that has been happening. Nima, are you okay? Are you satisfied?
My own is not satisfied. I'm telling you, not satisfied.
Okay, maybe he needs to come more and give us a breakdown of everything that's happening. That's all we can take on the show today. Join us again next week. And happy Independence Day. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.